Hello everybody, it's really nice to see you, and I hope you're having a very enjoyable August and managing hopefully to get a bit of rest, maybe getting out and about now that we're allowed to go out and about a bit more while staying safe at the same time. We've just got back from our summer holiday. It wasn't quite the holiday we'd hoped for, but in these days of COVID-19, well, we don't really ever get exactly what we want, do we? It's all a bit of a compromise. We were expecting to spend 3 weeks in Spain, and we've spent 3 weeks in North Yorkshire instead, which isn't a bad place to spend time, but it's not quite the same, especially from the point of view of the temperature. But it's nice to be back, nice to be getting back into the swing of things here at All Saints. Preparing for our son to go back to school. Again, schools will be very different when they go back in September. Social distancing, staggered starts, staggered finishes, and all that sort of thing. And of course, increased cleaning and all that. And this all affects the church as well, of course. You'll all be very well aware of the fact that there are regulations requiring us to do certain things in certain ways in church. And as of yet, of course, we haven't opened All Saints for public worship. What we have been doing since March, of course, is offering a very wide and varied pattern of engagement and worship in collaboration with our friends at St Cuthbert's. It's worth pointing out at this point that if it hadn't been for the collaboration with St Cuthbert's, we would not have been able to offer the sort of worship we've been able to offer over the past 4 or 5 months. That sense of mutuality, that sense of being in it together, has been very strong with my wife's church. I personally have really valued the friendship and support of the guys over at Croxteth Park, and I know they felt very blessed by having All Saints pray for them and with them on a regular basis. And I hope we've all managed to get something out of that. This Christian sense of koinonia, this Christian fellowship, which we're called to engage in, I think has been worked out very practically in the joint efforts between ourselves and St Cuthbert's over the past few months. But of course, as you will be aware probably from looking at the newsletter and from conversations perhaps you've had with other people, what we have been doing is going to change. And we are going to see a new pattern of worship and engagement over the next few months. Just before we went on holiday, about 3 weeks ago, PCC met and agreed an interim pattern of worship, which will see public worship restart in our church building for the first time since March. Now, before I discuss in detail the actual pattern of worship, I'm very well aware of the fact that what we are proposing, what we are going to do, isn't everybody's preference. In fact, it's nobody's first choice. The very nature of what we've been doing for months now is that nobody really gets their first choice. Nobody wants to be doing socially distanced services with no singing, with face masks at different times of day, with no socialising afterwards, no standing around and chatting. Most of the things we normally associate with our services will be absent, whatever we do, whatever time of day we do it at. And as a result, we are going to maintain quite a bit of what we've been doing over the past few months, but change it a little bit. You may not be aware that the services we've been doing online on the YouTube channel more recently, previously on the Facebook page, they take quite a lot of work. And the simple truth is that there have been very few people to actually do those services. So it's largely fallen on myself and Laura, with some help from a few of the guys here at All Saints and a few of the guys over at St Cuthbert's. It's been down to us to put it together, and it does take a lot of work. And as we unlock further in our communities, as we start to re-engage with the wider world, the time for doing that is squeezed a bit. And so we have to find a way of continuing to engage meaningfully and deeply and regularly, whilst also making sure there's enough time to do it all well. So the pattern of worship that we're going to engage, I'm going to put it on the screen now. will be from the 30th of August. And this was agreed by PCC. I would say from this point that it wasn't the original proposal that came to PCC. We had to negotiate and discuss exactly how it would work. But from Sunday the 30th of August, the pattern will be like this. There will be a 10:30 a.m. joint live streamed service of Holy Communion with St Cuthbert's, as there has been during lockdown. That's not going to change. We're going to keep that service. That will be our principal service for the day. I think that service has worked very well. Certainly Laura and I have got a great deal out of receiving people's photographs and stories and the engagement from people. I think it's been very helpful for that sense of community. And since we can do that in that service for a lot longer, a lot better than we'll be able to do in the church building, we really feel that now is not the time to stop that joint service. So we're going to continue that service until January 2021. This pattern will run until January 2021. It is an interim pattern. That means it is between now and then. It is not a permanent pattern. We are going to wait and see how advice changes and what we can do then in January next year. So 10:30 there will be, as there has been, a joint service of communion live streamed on our YouTube channel from the vicarage, as we've been seeing for the past few months. At 2:30 in the afternoon, there will be our Sunday School Plus. That's our online Zoom Sunday School. That restarts on the 6th of September. So that's not actually the first week. That will start the week after. And that has been quite popular. We've done a few weeks of that before the summer break. We'll be restarting that in September. So if you want to come along, if you've got children of primary school age who would like to get involved in that, it is on Zoom, so you need to get in touch first and register, and we will send you out the information you need and a secure link to Zoom. Please, if you've got any concerns about Zoom, have a word with me. Zoom is perfectly secure. There's no more risk to Zoom than anything else. It is a secure way of doing things, especially if you've got that secure link that we send out. At 4 o'clock, this is not an All Saints thing, but St Cuthbert's run a toddler church called Toodles, which is run by Laura, by my wife, which is on our YouTube channel. So you don't need a code for that, you can just turn up and watch it. You're more than welcome to do that from All Saints. We don't run a toddler church at All Saints, so if you've got toddlers and you'd like to get involved in church, that might be a good way for you to do that. It's very good. It doesn't take too long, it's about 20 minutes long, but there's singing, there's Bible story, there's prayer, and there's craft. So please do give that a go if you would like. Those are things which have all been running for the past few months. Where things do change is at 4:30. At 4:30, there will be a service of Holy Communion in the church building, and that will be also live streamed from church. So it will be a spoken service of Holy Communion. There will be no singing. It will be an Order 1 service of Holy Communion. And when we start, it will only be myself. So there will be the president at the front. Nobody else will be involved in it at all. We will have our sides people and our church warden who will be directing people. There will be social distancing. You will be required to wear a mask. And you'll receive communion on the way out of church. There'll be a one-way system in place. You'll come in through the main doors and you will leave via the Oak Hill room. There will be no socialising anywhere on church property before or after the service. You must sanitise your hands when you come in, and you must give us track and trace details so we can get in touch if there is an outbreak of COVID to which you've been exposed. So all that will be explained to you as you come into church, and we'll continue to explain how that pattern will work as we go through the next couple of weeks. So that's the big change. At 4:30 there will be a service of Holy Communion in church. Limited numbers. We estimate somewhere in the region of 25 to 30 people. That's all we'll be able to get into church. You can come as a family group and sit together. But otherwise, you'll have to sit 2 meters apart, and you must wear a face mask. And it will be on a first-come, first-served basis, at least initially. If we find we need to have bookings, then we will do that subsequently. So 4:30, Sunday the 30th of August, and every Sunday from then on, at least until the end of the year, will be a simple service of Holy Communion in church. So after Sunday, we're also going to see some changes in the week. Up until now, during lockdown, we've had most days we've had two services. We've had a service of daily prayer at midday and a service of compline or night prayer at 7 o'clock in the evening. Well, that's going to change. On Mondays and Tuesdays, we will have an evening reflection, and that will be, as most of these services will be, that will be a recorded service which will be available from 7 o'clock in the evening on our YouTube channel. That's All Cuthbert, our YouTube channel. On a Wednesday, we'll continue with a live streamed service of Holy Communion at 9:30 in the morning, again from the vicarage initially. It might come into church at some point, but certainly initially from the vicarage. And then another change at 7:30 on the Wednesday evening. We are going to restart our discipleship group. Now, initially, we're not going to do it at 7:30. We'll be doing it at 6:15 because we're joining with St Cuthbert's for a particular course, and that begins this Wednesday. That's the day after tomorrow. If you want to go to that, email myself or Laura. But then in 6 weeks' time, we will start our own discipleship group again at 7:30 on a Wednesday evening. And you'll be welcome to join that. That will be Zoom again, so if you want to come along to that, you must email so we can give you the secure link to that. On a Thursday, so no evening reflection on the Wednesday because we've got a discipleship group. On a Thursday, again, we have the evening reflection available from 7, and then at 7:30 we have a prayer meeting, which we've also been having during lockdown. We've lost the Tuesday afternoon prayer meeting now, but we'll be continuing the one on Thursday evening at 7:30. And then on Friday and Saturday, again, there will be an evening reflection available from 7 o'clock in the evening. For the past few weeks, since we were permitted to reopen church for private prayer, we've been meeting in church, or we've been allowing people into church, I should say, between 12 and 2 on a Sunday afternoon. Well, that will stop from the 30th of August. And instead, what we will have from the following Saturday will be church open between 1 and 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon for personal private prayer. And again, just for that purpose, for personal private prayer on a Saturday afternoon between 1 and 3. Please remember that if you do ever come into church for anything now, you must wear a face mask. No excuses. You've got to wear a face mask. This is to keep other people safe. Your face mask operates to keep other people safe, not to keep you safe. So that's the pattern. That's the pattern of worship. Sunday 10:30, the joint live stream service from the vicarage. 2:30, Sunday School Plus from the 6th of September. 4:30, the big change, a service of Holy Communion in church. First come, first serve, face masks, social distancing. And then during the week, 7 o'clock, generally speaking, a 7 o'clock evening reflection service with a discipleship group starting on a Wednesday evening, and the period of time when church is open for private prayer moving from 12 till 2 on a Sunday to 1 till 3 on a Saturday. This new revised pattern will be displayed on the notice board outside church, and it will also be on the website and on the Facebook page, and so you'll be able to have a look at it there. So we know that it's not going to be the same, and it's very probable that nothing we do will go back to the way it was before lockdown. It's important to remember that a small number of people at All Saints have worked very hard during lockdown to keep things going, to keep the bills paid. You will have heard numerous appeals for money as we've gone on, and this is another one. Please don't stop giving. Please do, if you possibly can, switch from giving cash to giving regular direct payments to church, either preferably via the parish giving scheme, but if you can't manage that, then through a through a standing order. But remember, we also have other ways of donating. Online, you can donate. We will have a card reader which you'll be able to donate using when you come into the building. Please don't stop giving. Please prayerfully consider increasing your levels of giving, or maybe giving a one-off gift to help us go, because we are basically taking in only half what we need to pay the bills. And as we come round to winter again, we start using the heating, which we've not been doing since lockdown began. Bills are going to increase. Notwithstanding that, longer term, we have to think about how All Saints is going to look in the future. We really, really, really need you to get involved. I've made a number of appeals in the 2 years I've been at All Saints for people to get engaged in the decision-making processes at church, and relatively few people have responded positively to that. Without your input, we're going to struggle to know where we go in the future. Like most of life, what we do in church is often compromise. We have to recognise that not everybody can always get what they want. But what we do need to do is hear as many voices as possible. And once we made a decision, we need to get behind it. So we need to pray for each other. We need to pray for the future of All Saints Church, but also for our parish here in Old Swan. We need to continue to pray for our friends in St Cuthbert's, in our deanery, in the Church of England nationally and internationally for the Anglican Communion, but for all Christians and people throughout this country. We need to be thinking of ways in which we can be part of a solution and not part of a problem. And that can be quite difficult, and it has been a very, very difficult time for an awful lot of people. But as we start to emerge sort of slowly back into the sunlight of some sort of normality, we need to think of ways in which we, as Christians, can be showing that love of God to the people we meet. We must be looking to serve them and not seeking for them to serve us. And the best way we can do that is by working together. So that's the pattern of worship. That's the way things are going to change. But what doesn't change is God's love for us all. So let's keep praying, keep reading Scripture, keep turning up for those online services and those Zoom meetings. Keep supporting one another, which I know you're doing very well at the moment and have done fantastically throughout lockdown. And let's remember that what we're doing here is not for our benefit specifically. It's for everybody's benefit. And I just pray that we'll be able to see some of you in church soon. If we can't see you in church, we'll see you on the online feeds. So keep watching the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. and we'll see you all very soon. So take care, stay safe, and God bless. Bye now.